I am prepared to be flamed in the comments. But yeah, let's get on with part 4 of what if Naruto was the reincarnation of sun-wukong. Oh yeah, feel free to say whatever you want about me being gone. Yeah, I apologize. But anyway, let's just start this up. Alright, so after Shukaku had been defeated by Naruto, Naruto and Jiraiya would go to retrieve Tsunade, which would go the same up until Naruto's fight with Tsunade. And Naruto is leagues above his canon self, and Tsunade is drunk, so he bops Tsunade. I don't even want to explain how that fight goes, because it'll pretty much be wasting time. And then, when they're getting ready to go back to the leaf, they realize Tsunade isn't there. So when they go around looking for her, they see that she's talking with Orochimaru. And this would set both Jiraiya and Naruto off. And they would both go and Jiraiya would start fighting Orochimaru. And Naruto would sit back and watch Tsunade fight Kabuto. And Kabuto would be losing until he did that cheap trick where he cut himself and put his blood on Tsunade. And this would make Naruto angry. And as Kabuto was getting ready to punch Tsunade, Naruto stood in the way. But since he doesn't really have his headband on his forehead, he just takes the punch straight to his forehead, but he stands there. He then punches Kabuto in the stomach and then kicks him across the face. And before Kabuto can even render what was happening, Naruto had a perfected Rasengan in his hand, and he would appear in front of Kabuto and slam it into his stomach, sending him flying back and putting him on death's door. Then he would see Jiraiya being put on the defensive by Orochimaru, so Naruto would jump up to them and kill the snake, making it disperse and Orochimaru losing his balance. He would then catch Jiraiya at the bottom of at his feet, seeing as Jiraiya is using the little needle hair jutsu, and Naruto would launch him at Orochimaru, and Jiraiya would keep his needle hair jutsu on, seeing what Naruto was trying to do, and he would start spinning rapidly. Naruto would then say, "Jiraiya Naruto style." Fang. As the side of Orochimaru had been cut by Jiraiya spinning rapidly, and this would heavily damage Orochimaru. Then, when Jiraiya landed, Naruto landed, and Orochimaru landed, Jiraiya and Naruto began beating on Orochimaru. Naruto would throw a kick that would be dodged, but then Jiraiya would uppercut Orochimaru, and then Orochimaru went to stab Jiraiya with a kunai, but Naruto would call his sword and block the kunai. And then Jiraiya would jump over the sword and the kunai that Orochimaru was holding and kick him in the face. Then Naruto would appear under Orochimaru and he would slam his palm into his stomach and say, "Lightning style, lightning palm." And it would burst lightning from his hand, sending Orochimaru flying back. And when Orochimaru tried to get up, he realized he couldn't move. Naruto would then appear right above Orochimaru and kick his face into the ground. They would then begin beating on Orochimaru, and Orochimaru couldn't do anything until he was able to move again. He then retreated and grabbed Kabuto. Naruto would be proud of himself as he had just took on another Sannin. Even though he had the help of a Sannin, he still felt like he did good. And Jiraiya would even congratulate him on mastering the Rasengan. And this would also make Naruto happy. And so when Naruto returned back to the village, he would show off his new jutsu to Lloyd, who hadn't gone with him on the trip, even though he could have. And Lloyd would be surprised, and he would then copy the Rasengan. And he would add something else to it, as he made the Rasengan a lot bigger. And then it gained a crown around it, a gold shining aura that resembled like the crown that Naruto was wearing. And Naruto would be like ecstatic. He was like, yo, how did you do that? He was like, well, if you add all your chakra natures to it, this is what it'll look like. And this is what it does. He would then minimize it to where it's only around his hand. Like he would make it go around his hand. He would say, Wukong fist, as he would punch one tree and it would be broken in half by a bolt of lightning. But then he would punch another tree and it would be cut by wind. Then he would punch the ground and a wave of water would come from behind him and knock over some trees. Then he would uppercut and then a wave like a fire just like came from behind when the punch. And it like the fire was big too, like it stretched at least 7 feet like outwards in front of him. And then it was just a normal Rasengan. And then he slammed it once more into the ground and rocks started to rise. And they also went at least like 7-8 feet in front of him. And then it became a normal Rasengan and he slammed it into a tree. He's like, this is the sun-wukong fist. It has all the chakra natures in it, and every time you use it, it'll have a different effect until it just becomes a regular Rasengan. I want you to practice using this jutsu, and soon, when you perfect it, you'll be a formidable opponent. This jutsu can be at least A rank or even S rank if you perfect it. So, Naruto would train and just keep training until eventually he started to realize that like Sasuke had been a lot angrier than normal. And he would meet him on the building that they had their fight on. Oh, another thing, Naruto does not have royal release in this one. But so, Naruto would be staring down Sasuke, who had his Tsutomoe Sharingan activated. And they would just be staring each other down. Naruto, this is the day I'm gonna beat you. Naruto would then reply with, you just don't get it, do you? And before Sasuke could even say anything, just shut up and listen for a second. Every single time we fought, I've won. And every single time, I had been restraining myself for the sake that I wanted an interesting fight. But I now realize that even if I do restrain myself, you'll never be able to compete with me. So just stop trying to fight me. These fights aren't fun anymore. I almost feel like a bully fighting you. And it's just not right for me to fight you when I know the outcome. I can use 1% of my power, but that'll just suck the fun out of it. Seeing as you can at least compare to 1% of me. So, I'm sorry, but if you choose to fight me now, I won't hold back. Not anymore. This would make Sasuke angry. He'd say, you're bluffing, as he would run at Naruto at top speed. Then Naruto would just like punch him, sending him all the way flying back into a gate. And the gate would be permanently bent outwards into the shape of Sasuke's body. Sasuke would then grab his gut as it hurt it so much. He would then rush back at Naruto and try to kick him, but Naruto would dodge. He would then throw a barrage of attacks at Naruto, but Naruto would just dodge all these attacks. Then he would jump back and say, Chidori. He would then chase down Naruto, who was walking backwards and dodging every time Sasuke tried to impale him with the Chidori. Then Sasuke would get ready to impale Naruto once more, and it would go to his chest, and Sasuke would think that he finally was able to hit Naruto. But Naruto, with high speeds, wrapped one of his legs around Sasuke's arm and pushed downwards, making the Chidori go upwards, miss him, and knock Sasuke into the ground. He would then kick Sasuke backwards, and he would roll all the way near the door and near Sakura. This would make Sakura say, "Are you okay?" He would push her away and say, "Get out of my way. This is between me and Naruto." As he would then say, "Fire style, fireball jutsu." And Naruto would run at this jutsu, and he would say, "Fire style, crescent kick." And he would kick the flames away. He would then appear right in front of Sasuke and punch him in his face. And Sasuke would then unlock his third Tomoe Sharingan out of pure anger. He would then rush at Naruto, and Naruto would kick him in his chin. And Naruto would also kick him on the side of his face, sending him into another gate. This would anger Sasuke even more, and he would power up another Chidori with the rest of the chakra he had, and run after Naruto. And Naruto would then activate his Rasengan, and they would get ready to clash when Kakashi appeared in front of them both. And Naruto, seeing Kakashi, would dodge out of the way of his hand and jump and slam his Rasengan into Sasuke, which would send him into the water tanks and put a huge dent in it. And on the back, it had the same effect that when Naruto slammed his Rasengan into the water tank, where it was just broken in the back. That's what it happened. Through the sheer force of Sasuke hitting the tank. Kakashi would say, "Why did you move out of the way? The sole purpose for me was to stop you two from clashing and fighting. You had no reason to hurt him any longer." Naruto would then reply with, "He wanted to fight me, so it's not my fault if he got hurt." So then Sasuke would get up weakened and Sharingan not activated anymore, as he would walk away from the fight. And hold up, I gotta do something real quick. Sorry, my dog cat ran outside. I had to go get him. But so like I was saying, Sasuke would then walk away from the fight, and so would Naruto, so he could go train with Lloyd. And Lloyd would be visibly disappointed in Naruto, saying, "You know you didn't have to fight him, right?" "Well, he wanted to fight me, so, I had to do what I had to do." "Well, you could have at least restrained yourself. But it wouldn't be fun anymore, Lloyd." Lloyd would just accept this. And Naruto would say, "Actually, Lloyd, how about we just skip on training? I'm going to just train with Kurama, so I can learn to control his power. That okay with you?" Lloyd would shake his head, knowing that the only reason why Naruto had said this is because he doesn't want to talk with Lloyd about it. And he would then train with Kurama for the next couple of days, learning how to control the one-tail cloak. And he can even do that, that jutsu that freaking Kurama can do, where he makes a mini Bijou bomb and then eats it and then launches a mouth beam. He can do that, but it's instead of it being just a small blast beam, it's a full-on beam, like a Kamehameha beam, something like that. And he shoots it out of his mouth still, but yeah. And it's pretty strong. It's actually one of his strongest jutsu. And one night he gets woken up by Shikamaru and the rest of the guys, like Choji and all of them. And he gets told that Sasuke had left the village. And he would say, "Well, what does that have to do with me? He's your friend, isn't he?" Naruto would then cut Shikamaru off and saying, "He's not my friend. We never were friends, and we're probably never going to be friends." He's like, "Well, are you at least going to help us get him back? I don't get why I should. But since you're my friend, Shikamaru, I guess I'll help you." Naruto would reply with. And they would pretty much do the same plan, but when everyone Sasuke, when Orochimaru's henchmen would try to stop them, Naruto would beat them up a little bit before the person that fought them actually fought them. So Choji beats Jirobo. He doesn't have to use the butterfly pill though, but he still is weakened to the point where he just passes out on the ground. Then, Neji has his fight and whatnot. So everybody is fighting, and Naruto is left, and he faces off with Kimimaro. And he starts fighting Kimimaro with his sword, and Kimimaro's fights with bones, and they clash. They keep throwing attacks at each other, but the other would block with their sword, I guess, or bone, sword or bone. And this would continue until Naruto would fake Kimimaro out by throwing his sword, and Kimimaro would dodge it, but then Naruto would call his sword back and cut Kimimaro's arm, which made him drop the bone. Naruto would then blitz Kimimaro, kick him in his stomach, and then appear behind him with all 4 of his limbs on the ground, and then kick him in the back, launching him into the air. And out of nowhere, some man with green clothing, an orange leg, and orange like bands on his leg would come down above of Kimimaro and kick him into the ground. It was Rock Lee. And Rock Lee would tell Naruto he could handle everything from here, which he could. So Gaara wouldn't even have to save Rock Lee from Kimimaro, since Kimimaro was severely weakened from Naruto's attack. Then Naruto would stand adjacent to Sasuke, staring him down, and Sasuke would say, "Well, look who came. This will be your final resting place, Naruto." Naruto wouldn't be phased, and he would still be giving Sasuke the death glare. Sasuke would then dash at Naruto, and Naruto would turn into his gorilla form and punch Sasuke under the water. He would then jump down when Sasuke tried to rise back up and slam both of his fists down on Sasuke, which knocked him back into the water. Sasuke would then come up above the water and start standing on it, and Naruto would revert back to his normal form, and they would have a taijutsu battle with Sasuke using his 3 Tomoe Sharingan. And this would go the same as it did on the building. But then Sasuke's curse mark would start having an effect on him, and it would boost his power, but he still wasn't enough to fight Naruto. And this is how their fight went. Naruto would blitz Sasuke, punch him in his stomach, and then kick him in his face. Then Sasuke would try to counterattack with a kick, but Naruto would dodge. Then Sasuke would try to stomp on Naruto, but Naruto had jumped backwards, then landing on his hands and doing a flip. Sasuke would chase down Naruto and start launching a lot of fireballs, but these wouldn't even phase Naruto, as he would just have his sword float in front of him, blocking the fireballs. Then Sasuke would jump under the water, and Naruto would stand around waiting for him to come back up, which he did, and he came right back up behind Naruto, and he would deliver a kick to the back of Naruto's head, but then Naruto turned into a log. And then he would look up, and Naruto would be above him, and he would slam him into the ground. Sasuke would be like, he used a substitution jutsu, but when did he ever learn how to use that? I've never seen him use it before. And as they were under the water, Naruto would then put his hand out as if he was going to use the Chidori. And Sasuke would say, "Wait, has he been copying my jutsu all along?" But then Naruto would utter the words he would say, "Lightning palm," as lightning would spark from his hand, and it would electrocute both him and Sasuke. But Sasuke couldn't even take the electrocution, and he was almost knocked out, half unconscious. And Naruto was just pretty hurt, as they both floated back to the top of the water. Sasuke would be scared for his life, seeing as Naruto hasn't shown any mercy at all. He would then use the full power of his curse mark, and he would start beating on Naruto. Naruto would try to punch him, but Sasuke would dodge and kick him in the stomach, and then kick him in the face. And he would pretty much just have Naruto on the defensive until Naruto used the QB chakra and goes into the QB influence, which he then turns the tides, and he starts beating up Sasuke. Sasuke would go for a punch on Naruto, but Naruto would dodge, elbow him in the stomach, and then in the face. And then he would proceed to do that same combo that he had did on Sasuke in the original. But this time, it hurt a lot more. And before Sasuke could even render, like, where he is on the battlefield, Naruto was already above him and slammed both of his fists down on Sasuke's head, knocking him down into the water. And Sasuke would swim back up using his wings to fly out of the water. And then he would prepare Chidori as he was right above the the Madara freaking statue. And Naruto was on the floor next to Hashirama's statue. Naruto would then prepare a sun-wukong fist. And he would jump up at freaking Sasuke. And the Rasengan around his fists would become a dark purple. And he would dodge the Chidori and then punch Sasuke in the gut. And then he would then deliver an onslaught of punches so fast that Sasuke couldn't even see him. And Sasuke could only feel the pain of lightning being struck at him, fire, water, and wind cutting him. This is all he could feel before being knocked out. And Naruto was going to bring him back to the village, but he ended up just leaving him there, saying, I'll just leave him here. Because if he really wants to go, I'll let him go. There's no reason keeping him tied down. Because I know if I wanted to leave the village, I wouldn't want anyone to stop me. So I don't really care what he does. As long as he can't beat me, he can't hurt the Leaf Village. As Naruto walked away, all the ninja would say, well, all the ninja that helped Naruto to go fight Sasuke, they would say, well, don't tell me you lost to Sasuke and he left. He's like, I didn't lose. I beat him, but some ninja came and took him before I could even get him. So Sasuke's gone. He would then apologize sincerely, and he would just walk away. So now we're going to do the time skip to where Naruto, ages up. So he still looks like how he looks in the picture right here, but he just has a taller statue, and he has, he's a little buff, you know what I'm saying? He got the muscle, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, nothing's really changed. And he's become a lot stronger too, training with Jiraiya in the time skip, and Lloyd, and Kurama. So he can control a three-tailed cloak. And Jiraiya didn't want to put any of his training to waste, so he's also been trying to perfect the Sage Mode, which, let me pull up. So his Sage Mode is called Lion Sage Mode, and it looks something like this, but his hair turns white too. And at first it's just a light blue aura around him, and he can make it look like this. And he also gains the ability to do a bunch of different lightning, lion jutsu and stuff. Well, any lion jutsu would be like in any category. But yeah, and he also has a faster reaction time. And he has like this, it's an ability moreover, not like a jutsu. It's where like he has this like, he gives this feeling of royalty, and like you should, so basically like if you're fighting him and he's in the Sage Mode, it gives you a feeling like, should I really be fighting him? Like, should I fight him? And it also intimidates, because that's what most lions like depend on for like, status and stuff, intimidation. But yeah, so that's pretty much what it looks like. He hasn't perfected it yet, but he will soon. So, anyway, freaking, when he returns to the village, he says hello to everyone he wants to. And he meets up with Tsunade in the Hokage's office, and he realizes that Kakashi is waiting outside on the building, but he doesn't acknowledge it until Sasuke walks in and is like, Kakashi. I don't know if I said Sasuke both times, but just in case, I meant Kakashi. And he was like, well, are you ready for your second bell test? And Naruto would nod his head. as he and Sakura had went to where were taking the second bell test. And Naruto would say, now I can show off my power. And he would go full power off the bat. Well, full base power at least. And he would disappear from Kakashi's eyes. And he would punch him in his gut, kick him in his chin, and then kick him in his stomach, knocking him onto the ground. And then Sakura would punch the ground, breaking it under him, sending Kakashi falling into the rubble. Then Naruto would use a wind-style move to make all the debris and rocks fly up above so they could locate Kakashi, which they did. But Kakashi would dodge all the rocks when they fell down, and he would begin dodging some of Naruto's attacks as he had his Sharingan activated. He was using the Tutomoe. So this would kind of make Naruto mad, as it would remind him of Sasuke, seeing as like he just hates Sasuke and is like, God. So he ends up going into the QB influence and tripping Kakashi, kicking him in his gut, sending him flying into some trees. And Sakura would then jump down from where she was and be ready to deliver a devastating punch to Kakashi, which Kakashi would dodge and push her away. Then Naruto would continue combating Kakashi, and Kakashi was put on the defensive. Then he would activate his 3 Tomoe Sharingan. Excuse me. And it would be pretty even until Naruto was just like, alright, I'm done. And he would activate the one-tail cloak. And this would pretty much just leave Kakashi in the dust. And Kakashi's just like compelled. He's like, how did you get so strong in the matter of 4 years? Like, I know you've been training and whatnot, but I've been training too, I got like exponentially stronger, but yet you're still stronger than me. He's like, you really are a prodigy, aren't you? But he would really be thinking all this in his head, and he realized that, so he's like, oh, he can't respond to any of this. And then Naruto would pretend to punch Kakashi in the gut, which would make Kakashi block, but then Naruto would just snag the bells off of his vest and say, I collect bells. And this would amaze everyone that was watching. Tsunade, Shizune, and Jiraiya. And even Kakashi himself. And then when both Naruto and freaking Sakura had left to go eat something, Jiraiya would then say, that wasn't his full power, right? Kakashi would be dumbfounded and say, that wasn't? Jiraiya would say, no, he could use a 3-tailed cloak, as we've been training to help him unleash some of Kurama's power without getting taken over. Because he knows the name of Kurama, because Naruto knows it and Naruto told him. And then he's like, yeah, he also has a Sage mode, which hasn't been perfected yet, but he's close. And it's not, I wanted him to learn the Frog Sage mode, but he didn't want to. And he ended up learning some different kind of Sage mode, but it's a lot stronger than the Frog Sage mode. And I wonder if this is even near his peak of power. And Kakashi would say, well, soon he's going to be leaving you in the dust as well. Jiraiya would say he already has. Or Kakashi would then say, well, we should probably train together so we can prevent him from, being stronger than us, because then we won't even be enough for him to have, good training. And Naruto is now, he can fight Kurama. He won't win, but he'll, put up a good fight. And he still isn't nowhere near the power of Lloyd. And he, that just shows how powerful Lloyd is. So, Naruto would then train a little bit with Lloyd and a little bit with Kurama. Until he actually eventually had the idea to say, hey, Kurama, what if I, took you out of the cage This will make Kurama like a little intrigued, seeing as he has a tighter bond with Naruto, and he actually has become a little fond of Lloyd. So he would say, I mean, you can, but I don't know what that would do for you. So Naruto would end up, opening the seal, and instead of Kurama attacking, he would just sit there and actually like stretch his arms out. He's like, it's pretty tiring being in that cage. And Naruto would feel a sudden boost in power, and this boost in power would be like great. So now he feel like letting you out of the cage just made me stronger. She's like, well, now it'll be easier for me to teach you on how to use my power, and soon you'll be able to master it. Now, this is where I'm going to leave things off. I hope you guys liked it. And, yeah, Sage Matapi is back. Let's get it.